What if the greatest choice you ever made was never yours? We spend our lives chasing the illusion of control, consumed by the ego that whispers, "I am the doer." We believe our successes are earned solely by our hand, and our failures are burdens we must carry alone. But this belief, this fierce independence, is the deepest of all human deceptions. Great beings, from the quiet contemplation of the Buddha to the fierce patriotism of freedom fighters, all had their purpose revealed to them. They didn't choose their destiny. They were woven into the vast, unfolding fabric of the universe. Tonight, we confront the deepest realization of the spiritual journey. We examine how the breath moves, how love ignites, how even the aging of your own body happens by itself. It is all the work of an unseen, omnipresent power. Existence is not a passive force. It is the writer, the director, and the stage upon which your life is played out. It knows what is appropriate for the whole, and it guides every leaf, every star, and every human soul accordingly. Are you ready to trade the heavy burden of the doer for the profound peace of surrender? To release the I and align with the cosmic script? The time has come to understand. You do nothing. Everything happens through existence.
The topic of today's satsang is that we do nothing. Humans do nothing. Everything happens through existence. Initially, you will not understand this subject. You feel that you are the one doing it. But when you reach a deep state of meditation, you will realize yourself that a human being merely does nothing. Everything happens only through existence. A worldly person lives in ego and thinks he is independent and can do anything. He has no faith in God. He considers himself great, and when he goes into a deep state of meditation, dives inside himself, becomes one with Brahman, becomes one with existence, then slowly he begins to understand that he is not independent. He cannot do anything. Everything happens through the existence of an unknown power. It is very difficult to say this in words or clarify it. Great philosophers have worked on this. Many books have also been written. For many years, science also had no belief. Science also thought that the individual is independent, can do everything. But in the last few years, such inventions have happened that science has now started understanding that everything happens only through the power of the universe. So, I will try to explain through spirituality, through stories, and through science that the individual is not independent. Everything happens only through existence. So initially, understand this: a person is born, becomes young, at the age of 15 or 16 sexuality arises in him. He does nothing himself. He becomes a young man himself. Sexuality comes in him, strength comes. And slowly he starts getting old and, in the end, his death occurs. Existence does all this. If you go into a deep state of meditation, you will realize that you do nothing. Breath also moves by itself. Your digestive system also runs by itself. You fall in love with someone, you start hating someone. All this also happens within you by itself. You cannot love everyone. You cannot hate everyone either. These are all self-operated processes. Some individuals have immense love for God, devotion remains, but often individuals do not even realize this. You have experienced that Buddha, Mahavir, Jesus, Nanak, Kabir, Ramanujan, Ravidas, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shankaracharya, Meera, Arvind, Akka Mahadevi, Bodhidharma, Lao Tzu, Socrates, Tulsi, Valmiki, in all of them, how deep the influence of devotion to God was. They did nothing themselves. Devotion to God came within them only through existence. A person works so hard all his life but cannot experience devotion and love. No one even guided them. Existence gave them light and they reached such a great state. And even today, after thousands of years, we remember them. This is all the glory of existence. If you look at worldly life, in our freedom struggle Bhagat Singh, Rajguru, Lajpat Rai, Tilak, Udham Singh and so many individuals have been there who gave their lives for freedom. Whereas their parents had no inclination towards freedom. Through existence itself, the awareness that was within them, through that only they could mold themselves into the freedom struggle. You must have experienced it yourself. If there are two children of the same mother in one house, one's attention remains in devotion to God and the other keeps earning money all his life. This is also the effect of existence. Parents did not teach that one should become a devotee of God and one should remain entangled in Maya. Existence does everything. The individual is not independent in any form himself. In the spiritual journey, you have experienced that Tulsidas, Valmiki, Vivekanand, Yogananda, they were not in devotion to God in the beginning. Due to some events in time or there was such a seed within them that they moved towards God. Existence does everything. If you look carefully, all seeds look the same. Whether it is a rose seed, jasmines, fruit seeds, vegetables. But as soon as they come in contact with the soil, everyone's form becomes different. Existence makes everyone. Valmiki wrote the complete Ramayana before the birth of Lord Ram, and if you understand deeply, then as the story was written, Lord Ram walked according to that only. As if his life was written beforehand. Everything was determined. Everything was programmed. Similarly, in our life too, our script is also written. In whatever seed form we are born, everything is determined what we will do and how we will become. As existence wants, it has made us like that from birth itself, and we are spending our life just like that. There is a small story of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva once said that until I play the drum, it will not rain. This was against destiny. It was against existence, and many farmers sat thinking that until Lord Shiva's drum plays, it will not rain. But there were some farmers, they ignored all this. They kept digging, kept plowing. Others kept considering them fools only. When Goddess Parvati saw this, that Lord Shiva has said, until I play the drum, it will not rain. But the farmers are doing their work. Although there is no rain, great faith arose in her mind towards the farmers. And she said to Shiva, if you do not play the drum, you will forget how to play the drum. And Lord Shiva forgot that he had said so. Within a moment he started playing the drum and it rained. The purpose of this story is this. Whatever existence makes happen, even great powers cannot go against it. Although their saying is true like a line, but existence can do anything. You must have also experienced. We think anything, and when we start doing, we do not do like that. This must have happened many times in your life. Now if you remember, you will recall. Lord Krishna has said in very simple words that I only do everything. His purpose was that existence only does everything. Karna said after Draupadi Vastraharan that I do not know why abusive words came out of my mouth towards Draupadi. I never even thought, and I have been repenting on this for so many years. Now why did it come out of his mouth? He himself does not know. Existence only makes all this happen. Existence has its own destiny. It is very difficult to understand this. Duryodhan also said the same thing, that I know what is right and what is wrong, but I cannot keep my perspective right. I do not know why this happens. Existence only makes all this happen. Everything happens according to existence only. Dhritarashtra also knew what he was doing. But he was very attached to his son. Because this is all God's play. It is very difficult to understand all this. Until you yourself go into the depth of your meditation, till then all these will seem like stories to you. And when you go into the depth of your meditation, then you will know why existence did all this. The universe wanted to clarify before the coming generations what kind of time will come. That is why this Mahabharata was created. And Ved Vyas has said in clear words that keeping the future in mind, Mahabharata was created. This is internal conflict only. Outside it has been revealed, and in reality, it is the conflict inside the human being. You must have experienced many times that suddenly it rains, then drought falls. Why does this happen? Existence only, in some form or another, seeing every situation, takes this decision. Because existence is omnipresent. All beings come in existence, all animals, all plants. You cannot even imagine how great existence is, how big it is, and when it takes what decision, which is appropriate for everyone, It takes that only, and we feel this is not happening right. A father had 2 daughters. One was married into a potter's house, who used to make clay pots. The other was married to a farmer who worked in the fields and grew crops. The father went to the farmer's house. His daughter said, "Pray to God that it rains so that our crop is good." The father heard. He went to the other daughter, then she said, "Father, pray that it does not rain. Otherwise, whatever goods we have made with so much hard work, put in the fire kilns, everything will get spoiled." And for whom should the father pray? One wants it to rain, one wants it not to rain. So similarly, God also, in front of whom is the vast form, what decision He takes, what judgment He takes, all that is for the good of everyone, He takes that decision only. Nothing happens accidentally. It happens only according to God's decision. There were 2 friends. One was a scientist and the other was a devotee of God. The scientist used to think that whatever I do, I am independent. God does nothing. Whatever the person wants, that only happens, but the devotee used to understand this only. Everything happens because of existence. Existence is the greatest. The scientist had written on all 4 walls of his room that God is nowhere, God is nowhere. God is not anywhere, but both were close friends. When the devotee used to come to him and when he used to read this sentence, he used to feel great pain. So one day he prayed to God that God give some wisdom to my friend, and when he came to his house the next day, he saw that on all 4 walls where God is nowhere was written, no WHERE, after W on all 4 walls a stream of water was flowing. Meaning God is now here. He said to the scientist, "Where is this water coming from?" He went to the roof and saw, there was no water from anywhere. Then the devotee said, "Existence, God can do whatever He wants. All this happened so that your corrupt intellect, now it becomes smoothly right. That is why God performed this miracle." Then he understood that existence can do anything. Like I had told the story of Vishwamitra and Menka. Menka confuses Vishwamitra so that he can understand how great Rishi Vasishtha is, and even a woman can confuse him. When Vishwamitra's pride ended, pride was shattered to pieces. Then he could understand that this was done by the universe only. Existence did this so that I come in a zero state and repent for my actions. Similarly, Maharshi Bharadwaj got distracted seeing a nymph and Drona child was born in his house. He had come in a sexual state. This was also a play of existence, so that in the future it becomes clear to the world that a guru can also be partial with a great disciple who was Eklavya. This is God's own play. Gautam Rishi also while bathing got knowledge from the light of existence that antisocial relations are happening between Indra and Ahilya. Existence wanted to display this to everyone. It was the glory of existence that no one can be trusted. Existence adopts many methods in its form so that the right path can be shown to the world. Sati Anusuya transforms 3 Brahmins into the form of sons because the flame of wisdom was burning within her, and besides this, the pride of Saraswati, Parvati and Lakshmi also gets shattered. Existence adopts such methods so that it can guide every person properly. Madam Curie, who invented radium, kept working for many years, but nothing happened. One night she woke up while sleeping and went to her study place and wrote the scientific solution on paper. When Madam Curie came to her place after 2 days, she was very surprised to read the solution to her problem, and she saw that it was written in her own hand. So, when the universe has to show you the way, it can do anything. What existence does, through what medium it does, nothing can be said about this. You must have heard the name of Faraday, who invented electricity and magnet. He was a completely illiterate person, but his intellect and conscience were very sharp. For this reason, he made the invention. But when he was invited for the award, he refused to take the award. Existence can do whatever it wants. Such an amazing invention happens even by an illiterate person, that even big scientists cannot do. Ramanujan, who used to solve even the most difficult questions of mathematics in a moment, he was asked, "How do you solve such difficult questions of mathematics?" He said in very clear words, "I do not know why this happens. The solution comes from within me." The purpose of saying is that human does nothing. The power of existence remains within us, and that only does everything. Tagore, who wrote Gitanjali, said this in very clear words. I did not write Gitanjali. Gitanjali descended within me and my hands wrote it. When I read Gitanjali, I am also surprised how it was written. He used to say that when Gitanjali descends inside me, my body shivers. I am in another world and it gets written by my hand. Valmiki was also very surprised when Sanskrit verses came out of his mouth, while he did not even know Sanskrit. Verses of Quran also came out of Muhammad's mouth like this, while he did not even know how to read and write. God had given such power to Ravidas. How great was the power of consciousness, that even a half-kilo stone floated on water just by his looking. So whatever existence wants, that only happens. Nothing happens by the person doing it himself. Guru Nanak also, in his journey, whenever songs descended inside him, he used to write in a copy and used to sing it with his 2 disciples Bala and Mardana. He himself said that God only sends everything to me. I am just a lowly one. I am only his servant. Ved Vyas, who was the son of Satyavati, became big as soon as he was born and went to the forest and started doing penance. This is all the glory of existence. A person is not independent in any form that he can do such big works, and Vedvyas later composed Mahabharata. Divided Vedas into 4 parts so that an ordinary person can understand it. Even when Shankaracharya was born, his mother had a dream that this child would die in early age. Now from this you can guess that whatever he does, existence does it itself, and after doing such a big work Shankaracharya left his life at the age of 30 only. Nagarjuna was a great philosopher. He has worked maximum on emptiness. After Mahatma Buddha, Nagarjuna placed emptiness completely in front of the creation. Everything is born from emptiness and everything merges into emptiness. And Nagarjuna got this knowledge when he went to the nether world. Lived with Nagas, this is the knowledge of Nagas which Nagarjuna got, and he himself did nothing. Existence did everything, so existence is very great. Can do anything. Nagarjuna also had the boon of life and death. He had a very long life, and a friend of his who was a king also gave him the same knowledge and said that we both will leave this world together. The king had a son. He wanted the king to pass away so that he could become the king. The prince asked for Nagarjuna's head at his mother's behest. He was a great yogi. He could not say no. He understood that the time of my death has come. Nagarjuna said, I have not committed any sin in life. I have not even killed an ant. I have always been in emptiness. But once while cutting grass an insect died from a straw. If this straw of kusha grass touches my neck, then my neck will be separated. So, he himself put the grass on his neck and left this world. If we also make our mind zero, become breathless, and in this way from the churning of the ocean which happens through the process of breaths, we can awaken the Kundalini power, and everything happens by God's grace only. Existence is very aware. How many soldiers died in the Second World War? The population of men had become very less. After the Second Great War, all the widows who became pregnant, only boys were born in everyone's house. This is all the glory of existence. Existence only does everything. It knows everything, what is appropriate and what is inappropriate. What should be done for that society, for the world? Everything in this world happens according to existence only. How great a scholar Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was, no one could defeat him in reality. His knowledge was of such a high category. When he went to Kashi for offering prayers to ancestors after his father's death, just by the touch of Lord Vishnu's divine sandals, his life system changed and he became a great devotee and attained God only through dance and devotion to God. He abandoned the knowledge of books forever. With the spirit of devotion, he resided in Jagannath temple, in Puri, and realized God. Whatever God does, he always does for the good. Whatever existence does, it does for the good of the person. A minister was with his king, then the king's thumb got cut by a sharp knife, for some reason. That minister, who was a devotee of God, said whatever God does, he does for the good. The king got very angry that on one side my thumb has got cut and he is saying this. Whatever he does, God does for the good. When after a few days they went for hunting, the king lost his way in the forest and came to the settlement of Bheels. The Bheels caught the king, and after catching him, they wanted to offer him to their deity, the prey they had caught in the form of the king. As soon as they took the king to kill him, the king of Bheels saw that his thumb is cut. Then he said that a person with a missing limb cannot be offered to the deity in any form. His life was saved just by the cutting of the thumb. Then he remembered that whatever the minister had said was all right. Whatever happens in the world, happens for the good only. Kapil Muni was doing penance in the netherworld, and the king of that time, King Sagar, performed the Ashvamedha Yajna and released a horse. In Ashvamedha Yajna, when the horse is released, then whichever state it passes through, that state becomes subject to the king. When Indra saw that this King Sagar will become very great, he has 60,000 sons. So, Indra stole that horse and made it stand near Kapil Muni. 60,000 sons searched for the horse with great hard work, but in the end, they found that the horse is with Kapil Muni in the nether world. They spoke very abusive words towards Kapil Muni, and when Kapil Muni's penance was disturbed, then by his divine knowledge, by the light of his eyes, 60,000 sons were burnt instantly. The story says when these 60,000 sons were burnt, then the great-grandson of King Sagar, and King Dilip's son, his name was Bhagirath. He did great penance, and Kapil Muni said, with this great penance Ganga will descend from heaven, and when the water of Ganga will be sprinkled on these 60,000 sons, only then they will be liberated. So, by his penance Ganga descended on earth and these sons were liberated. So, this is the own glory of existence. To bring Ganga down to earth so that in the coming time it becomes a means of salvation for the common people also. Whatever existence considers appropriate, it does according to itself. It is very difficult to say what form existence takes. Whatever work we do, the Chitragupt power, the invisible power, keeps an account of our every work, and according to that only we get the coming next birth. So, thinking that whatever we are doing is all going in vain or there is no account of it, there is nothing like that. God has created Chitragupt power around us so that there is a proper account of our every karma, and only after that we get the next birth. God's whole system is a very disciplined system, and scientifically you can understand how all this happens. Science was not ready to accept all this earlier. Science used to think that the person is independent, can do anything, and when a scientist invented that in our mind there are neurons, and whatever work we do is by the instruction of the neuron. Neurons are affected by mental power and consciousness power. This scientist put various types of instruments in a person's head and made that person sit to drink tea and eat biscuits. And the signals that came from the neuron, they used to get recorded. The neuron recorded that now this person will eat a sweet biscuit, and just after a moment he picked up a sweet biscuit. Did many experiments, and in one, now this person will pick up a salty biscuit. It came on the screen beforehand, and after a moment he picked up a salty biscuit. The meaning of saying is that whatever happens, consciousness and mind get the impression beforehand. Only after that you raise your hand or whatever work happens by you. So, this established that the person is not independent. He is subject to consciousness and mind. He is subject to all karmas, and it is a very complex process. But in reality, the purpose of saying is that the person is not independent. Everything is written from before. Everything is programmed, so everything happens according to that only. That is why Lord Krishna has said that this world is all God's play. The person is not independent. Guru Nanak Sahib has said in Guru Granth Sahib in very clear form that karma karwa aape aap manav ke kachu nahi hath. God only does all this. Nothing is in the hands of humans. We are only puppets of existence. Whatever happens, happens according to existence only, and whatever it considers right, it does that. In that our karmas come, our life comes, and whatever is appropriate for the whole universe, everything happens according to that only. So, this is a very great science. Whatever is said on this is less. But you can realize in your own life that nothing happens by your doing. Circumstances become such that you do not make. That too is formed according to existence. We are only puppets. We are only actors and walk according to that. So, in the end I will say only this much, that everything happens according to the power of existence and the universe. Whatever it does, that is appropriate. It does everything keeping the whole universe in front of it. And all this is God's play. By going into the depth of our inner self, we can understand this and can experience that nothing is in the hands of man. The doer is all God Himself, He is Himself. That is why we should pray to existence. Should be one with existence so that we can walk according to it. Existence moves in a positive way only, and if we will be one with existence, surrender ourselves to it, then our life can pass with happiness and peace. Thank you.